From the heartland of America to every nation on earth, this is Jack Van Impe Presents The Truth in News and Commentary. Here now are Doctors Jack and Rexella Van Impe.
Hello and welcome to Jack Van Impe Presents. My, oh my, what a time for the election across the United States of America. We're going to be talking about that in just a moment in detail. And my first article here deals with something that is quite astounding. Obama's actions, unpresidential? Voters' frustration shows nationwide. And here's something. Bomb plot involving airlines barely averted. Barely averted. Thank God that it was. We're going to be talking about that also. And as I said, the election was a tremendous and astounding, impressive win, of course, for the Republican Party. But it was more of something that the people were speaking out and saying how they did want to have our nation go. Now let's take a look at how our president reacted. Here you see it. This is by Erica Werner. According to President Barack Obama, Americans are angry, frustrated, scared, anxious, uncertain, nervous, discouraged, and shaken up. They're also confused and not thinking clearly. All right. And this is Jay Ambrose from Scripps Howard News Service. Obama's actions unpresidential. Well, you know, that is quite a statement there, unpresidential. Well, that's a question. And I'm going to say that both of them are sort of saying that our president really was hit hard. His pride must have been affected. And pride is something that the Bible really refers to. The Bible does refer to pride, doesn't it, Jack?
And Rexella, I have over 300 articles on President Obama because I read 100 periodicals a week. And I've discarded many others over the last year. But I have never known anyone to be this egotistical, cocky, and narcissistic. I mean, there was a big article the other day saying he acts like a psychiatrist. Anyone who disagrees with him, he tries to analyze them and find out what's wrong with their mind. Well, you know what the Bible says? Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. And I think that's what happened. He got a shellacking, and God help him to come to his senses and start treating other people like human beings, not like he treated Netanyahu of Israel and others who've come to the White House. But you know, pride's a terrible thing, and it's among politicians and preachers and just every area of life. And I heard about a preacher the other day who says, "Oh, I just wrote a new book, Humility and How You Obtained It. It's the greatest thing on the market." I know preachers like that. And here's a little frog, and he sees the geese flying through the air, and they land. And he says, "Oh, would I like to just have one flight? Could you two geese help me?" And one picked up a stick, put it in his beak, and the other in his beak. And they said, "Now you hang on the middle." And he gripped it with his teeth, and they're flying through the air, and the people on the ground say, "Oh, what a genius, what a mind, what an intellect. I wonder who's responsible for this." He says, "I!" Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. And you're going to see something here.
Well, we're going to be talking a little bit more about pride in just a moment. But friends, voting is a way here in our democracy of showing what we want and how we feel. And here's a very, very interesting headline. Voters' frustration shows nationwide. Again, voters speak up, cry out for results. The anti-Obama Democrats, whoa. And Democrat criticizes Obama rebuff. They're saying, not so correct there. Democrats run from Pelosi. And then requiem for the Pelosi Democrats. Also, that's putting them away. Democratic centrists decry Pelosi's attempt to keep post. She said, "I want it, I'm going to run for it." Candor rips Pelosi bid for minority post. Here you see from the Christian Science Monitor giving them the hook. Uh-oh, you see who they're pulling away there. Once again, Obama is dealt a tough hand, a tough hand. And Obama concedes shellacking. You know, my father used to use that word on me. I'm going to shellac you if you don't behave yourself. He used that word. Obama concedes shellacking. And USA Today, GOP takes control of House. On the cover of Newsweek, change is coming again. And here is something from the Oakland Press. Election will set stage for 2012 presidential race. And again, in 2012, Clinton versus Palin. Of course, they're talking about Mrs. Clinton. And from the Detroit Free Press, caption this. And there is President Clinton speaking to President Obama. Here's the plan. This half of the Oval Office will be Hillary's. Whoa, all right.
Oh, boy.
And then look at this cartoon. I'm still huge in Europe. And our president is reading the poll numbers, apparently about Europe. We will talk much about that in a moment, but let's back up to what Jack referred to in just a moment ago. Speaking about pride. Does God really hate pride? You know, we all have a certain amount of it. That's why we try to look the best we can, keep our homes the best that we can. Pride. But there's some kind of pride that God really does hate. Right, Jack?
Yeah, and it's right here in this book, Proverbs chapter 6, verses 16 to 18. These 6 things does the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him, a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, and heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness who speaks lies, and he who sows discord among the brethren. There's been plenty of that between the two parties in the last few months. But Rexella, twice he mentions lying because of pride. And I'm going to tell you, too many Christians today lie and think it is meaningless to God. But no liar who practices that thing can enter the kingdom of heaven. Revelation 21 verse 8 and Revelation 22 verse 15. Now, you talk about pride. There was an anointed cherub called Lucifer to serve God, and he was beautiful. And because of his beauty, he got very proud, and that's Ezekiel chapter 28 verses 14 to 17. And he says, I'm so great, I'm going to rise above the God I'm supposed to serve. Isaiah 14, 12 to 14. How art thou fallen, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation, God's throne in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the heaven. I will be like the Most High God. He should have seen a good optometrist. He had eye trouble, and that's pride. And the next verse, 15, says he was brought down, just like our president has been in the last few weeks. Now, what's the answer? Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he'll lift you up. James 4:10. And when this sin controls us, let's get on our knees, because that'll bring blessing to America. 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Let's get down on our knees and confess our problems and sins. That's what pride is to the Lord.
You know, Jack, when we were just seeing so many of the ads for those running for office, I heard many of them say, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true.
Right.
You know, you're lying about each other. If you could stand before the Senate, the Congress, what would you say to them? What would it be?
I would give them Psalm 33, verse 12. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. And I'm so sick of those stinking ads that tore everyone apart and called one another crooks and liars and thieves. Listen, what we need is to get back to God's 10 commandments in Exodus chapter 20, verses 3 to 17. Thou shalt have no gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Hollywood does it all the time. For God will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Lie. That's all the ads were by these politicians. Both sides. And thou shalt not covet your neighbor's house or your wife or his possessions. Ooh, if I had her. Ooh, if I had that home. Sin. And we need to get back to the Lord and get on our knees, like I said, humble ourselves and pray. And he says, I'm going to heal your land.
Wonderful, Jack. Really speaks to all of our hearts.
Rexella,
Yes.
I got to say something. You mentioned there about Hillary. Sarah Palin and Hillary. Well, there's something strange here going on, and I heard that Obama now is going to try to do everything to win in 2012, and he may declare Puerto Rico a state because that would be 1 million votes in his pocket. And he might get all these aliens and make them citizens overnight for another 7 or 8 million votes. But he is thinking, and these are documented facts, of even dumping Biden, because he knows that Hillary still has the votes of the women of America, and if he could get her as the vice president, he's in. God help this man to operate with more integrity.
All right. Well, I remember I showed you a cartoon. I'm still huge in Europe, our president speaking, and looking at the poll numbers over there. What do you mean by that? I'm still huge in Europe, Jack.
Well, as we've said so long, Kissinger has been promoting Obama to become the leader of the New World Order, and that is primarily the European Union nations. 27 now, and is going to a global thing in the very near future. Every nation on earth, 247, under the banner of the European Union. And when he spoke in Germany, it was said that 80% of the Europeans would vote for him to head up that organization. That could happen. He may fail here, but they love him. And not only that, Pakistan just said, we would like to have Obama to be the supreme leader of the Islamic movement. And 4 nations now in Islam are begging him to become the leader of the peace pact with Israel. Something fishy here, believe me.
Ooh, very enlightening there, Jack. Well, you know, friends, I said last week that we need to be sort of thinking about what's coming up very, very soon, and that is, of course, the holiday season. And I'm so delighted to say this would be the most wonderful gift to give of all. Take a look at our preview of the Offer of the Week.
Presenting the 3rd edition of the Jack Van Impe Prophecy Bible, this beautiful burgundy leather-bound edition has been created exclusively for the friends of Jack Van Impe Ministries. Dr. Van Impe has highlighted all 10,385 prophetic verses and coded each passage in the margins so you'll know at a glance the event to which the prophecy refers. The Jack Van Impe Prophecy Bible King James Version features the words of Christ in red and includes the program Dr. Van Impe used to categorize and memorize over 15,000 verses of Scripture. Also contained in the pages of this outstanding 3rd edition are 3 books by Dr. Van Impe: Your Future, an A to Z Index to Prophecy, Revelation Revealed verse by verse, and Daniel Final End Time Mysteries Unsealed, also verse by verse. This special Bible would make a great gift for any occasion.